let's build a Vivarium for some Dairy Cow Isopods. These guys are a great addition to any terrarium and can make the perfect cleanup crew. For this build, I'm using an old dog treat jar that I found at a local thrift store. For the drainage layer, it's best to use leca, which are tiny balls of clay that help retain perfect humidity in your terrarium. To divide the drainage layer from the substrate layer, it's best to use window screen mesh. You can find some cheap stuff at a store, but for this build, I cut out an old piece. Many people's favorite part of building terrariums is picking out the plants. Polka dot plants have been the perfect partner to all of my builds so far. For this tank, I picked the white variant, which would match the color of the isopods. I've wanted to use a fern in one of my builds for a long time. I believe this is a Japanese painted fern plantlet, but leave a comment if you believe otherwise. Having a healthy substrate is really important in a terrarium. For this, I decided to use some of the potting soil from the plants, a little bit of extra creature soil, gravel, and sphagnum moss. Finding the perfect hardscape can be kind of tricky in a terrarium. Watching other creators, I've really loved the look of dragonstone, so I went to my local aquarium shop where I also found firestone, which I loved the bright colors of. Deciding where to place the rocks was probably the most time-consuming part of this project. What you're seeing here is what I assumed the final layout would be, but quickly I discovered that it would become way too crowded. Before actually tackling that issue, I decided it was just time to start planting. The large fern leaves would make a great background, and the polka dot plants would look best planted evenly throughout the terrarium. The big rocks looked like a big mountain formation, while the little plants could look like tall trees. I was confident that they could keep growing and eventually create a really lush ecosystem. I didn't want to incorporate too much wood in this build, but I found this nice little branch of spiderwood at the aquarium store. I could easily attach this to look like a branch with the Gorilla Glue and tissue method. Tear off a small piece of your tissue and roll it into a small ball where you can place it within the rock. Simply add a couple drops of glue and then hold your branch down tightly until it's not moving. I added a little bit of substrate on top of the tissue to hide it, and this is the finished product. As you may notice, this is around the time that I decided that 4 rocks was a little bit too much, and this was the final layout. 3 rocks, 1 dragonstone, 2 firestone. Adding leaf litter would be perfect food for the isopods, as they would break it down and help it decompose. I also wanted to add a couple patches of moss, which I placed between the rocks. I found this moss outside. Don't be afraid to go use your yard for some resources. Another great source of food for isopods are botanicals. For this one, I chose lotus pods, which they could climb up into the holes and feed on them for a long time. With everything in place, it was now finally time to add the isopods to their new home. These little guys were super cute, and they were so eager to start exploring this new area. So I dropped them in. and they immediately started to disperse and explore. I was really hoping that this colony would start to breed, because I would absolutely add them to any new builds or even my other tanks. And with that, I invite you to sit back, relax, and watch these guys go to work. I can't wait to update you in the coming weeks of how this ecosystem evolves. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe so you don't miss out on what's next.